There is a kind of person most people cannot figure out, not because they are complicated, but because they are quiet in ways that feel deliberate. They do not raise their voice. They do not chase attention. They do not explain themselves more than once. And yet, when they walk into a room, something shifts. Not because of what they say, because of what they don't. Most people confuse loudness with power. It isn't. True power is felt before it is seen. It moves quietly. It operates underneath the noise. Machiavelli understood that the most dangerous person in any room is not the one making threats. It is the one who doesn't need to. What you are about to hear are 15 laws most people will never follow. Not because they are hidden, but because they require something rare. Restraint. The first law. Never let anyone know your next move. Most people broadcast their plans. They announce goals, share timelines, reveal intentions. The moment you do this, you invite interference. People adjust. They prepare. They position themselves against you. Machiavelli was clear. A prince who revealed strategy before execution lost the element of surprise. And surprise cannot be purchased, only preserved. Strategically silent people act first. They explain later, if at all. Let execution be the announcement. When people cannot predict your moves, they hesitate, and hesitation from others is space for you. The second law. Watch what people do when they think you are not paying attention. Words are performances. Actions are confessions. Machiavelli warned that self-interest distorts honesty. People say what protects them. Truth is secondary. Watch how someone treats a person who can do nothing for them. That is who they are. Stop listening to what people say they will do. Start watching what they actually do. When you judge behavior instead of speech, you will rarely be surprised. And people who cannot surprise you cannot manipulate you. The third law. Never depend on a single source of anything. Most people build stability around one thing, one relationship, one job, one person's approval. The moment it shifts, they collapse. Machiavelli understood dependency as the root of weakness. Distribute your sources. Build multiple pillars of identity, connection, and meaning. When you stop depending on a single source, you become structurally harder to break. That is not cold. That is architecture. The fourth law. Make people come to you. Never chase. The moment you pursue, you signal need, and need invites control. Machiavelli observed that the prince who went to others was seen as subordinate. The one who waited held the superior position. Stop being the one who always initiates. Let others come forward. Let their initiative reveal their investment. When you stop chasing, you stop bleeding energy into people who were never moving toward you. The fifth law. Control your routines before others use them against you. Habits are patterns. Patterns are predictable. Predictability is exploitable. People learn your triggers. They learn when you are tired, emotional, or need validation. Then they adapt. Break a pattern this week. Respond later, explain less. Hold your position longer. When your habits serve strategy instead of comfort, you become harder to anticipate. The sixth law. Never fight a battle that wins you nothing. Most people engage in every conflict. This is exhaustion disguised as strength. Machiavelli said a wise prince chose battles by outcome, not emotion. The next time you feel pulled into conflict, ask what victory looks like. If you cannot define it, disengage. Let the other person exhaust themselves against your absence. That is not weakness. That is economy of force. The seventh law. Study people when they are angry. That is when they tell the truth. Anger strips the mask. The words may be exaggerated, but the direction is honest. The colleague who snaps about your success reveals envy. The friend who becomes cruel reveals thoughts they suppress when sober. Do not dismiss these moments. Catalog them, not to weaponize, to understand. When someone shows you who they are in anger, believe them the first time. The eighth law. Keep your circle small and your information smaller. Every person in your circle has access to information, and information, once shared, cannot be unshared. Machiavelli warned that the more people who had access to a prince's thoughts, the more opportunities existed for betrayal. Loyalty is not measured in years. It is measured in pressure. Audit your circle by behavior, not by time. When your circle is tight, your exposure stays low. The 9th law. Never sacrifice long-term position for short-term comfort. When you avoid hard conversations to preserve comfort, problems compound. Machiavelli saw this as the defining flaw of weak rulers. Identify where you are choosing comfort over position. One relationship maintained out of guilt. One situation tolerated out of fear. Then act. Not emotionally, strategically. Short-term discomfort passes. Long-term position remains. The 10th law. The person who controls the frame controls the outcome. Every interaction has an invisible structure. Most people accept whatever emotional frame is presented. If someone is angry, they become defensive. If someone accuses, they explain. Emotionally disciplined people reframe. When someone says, "Why didn't you call me back?" the frame assumes obligation. The controlled response is, "I respond when there is something to say." When you control the frame, emotional manipulation becomes nearly impossible. The 11th law. Never attach your identity to a single role. When someone whose entire identity is their career gets fired, they do not just lose a job, they lose themselves. Machiavelli saw that princes who identified completely with their throne became desperate when challenged. Ask yourself, if I lost my job tomorrow, who am I? If the answer feels thin, build layers. When no single loss can destroy you, decisions come from clarity, not desperation. The 12th law. Treat attention as currency. Stop spending it recklessly. Most people spend attention without thinking. They scroll, react, engage in conversations that lead nowhere. By the end of the day, they have spent everything and built nothing. Whatever receives your attention receives your energy. Cut ruthlessly, not from cruelty, from clarity. When attention becomes intentional, everything sharpens. The 13th law. Learn to operate without motivation. Motivation fluctuates with mood. Machiavelli wrote about discipline, not inspiration. A prince could not wait to feel motivated before defending his territory. The builder does it tired. The builder does it bored. When your mood no longer dictates your output, you become reliable under all conditions. That is the foundation of lasting power. The 14th law. Never negotiate from need. The moment the other side senses you need the deal more than they do, terms shift. Build alternatives. Create positions where walking away is simply another path. Preparation removes desperation. When you negotiate from strength, people offer more and push less. Not because you demanded it, because your position demanded it for you. The 15th law. Master the art of doing nothing when everyone expects something. When people expect a reaction and receive none, the entire dynamic shifts. Doing nothing is not passivity. It is the deliberate choice to not be moved when pressure is applied. Most conflicts resolve themselves when no energy is added. Ask yourself, is action required or is action expected? If action is merely expected, let expectation sit unanswered. That is not laziness, that is command. If you have made it here, understand this. These are not rules you memorize. They are rules you practice, daily, quietly, without announcement. Knowing is not practicing. Agreement is not discipline. You will be misunderstood. People will call you cold when you are calm, distant when you are deliberate, arrogant when you simply no longer need their approval. Let them. Their labels describe their discomfort, not your character. This is not about becoming dangerous to others. It is about becoming impossible to destabilize. One is offensive, the other is structural. Subscribe if you want more, not louder, not faster, deeper. The next one goes further. Stay positioned, stay unreadable. I will see you in the next one.